Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I hope all the best to you in 2025. I hope that this, we're halfway through the decade.
Wow.
Think about that for a sec. Halfway through the decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had to restart the episode because I forgot to hit record, but hey, here's to a better New Year.
Here we are. We're 95, we're 40 years on from Marty McFly and Back to the Future and his timeline of 1985. How about that?
Anything good for Christmas, by the way?
I got a lot of time with the family. I got to sleep in a lot. I got a few days left before I got to go back to work. So, yeah, no, I'm a happy camper. Not getting up at 4:15 in the morning is a blessing.
I'm chapped.
Why?
I didn't get that copy of Goon that I asked for in DVD.
Listen, I told you I'd sign it. Go to your local thrift store or your local discount bin and go grab a copy and I'll ink it for you.
By the way, we're going to do the voicemails again later. We got some voicemail call-ins. The Goon is not the greatest movie of all time. I got a few choice words for those
Well, not
people.
the greatest movie of all
Greatest
time.
Greatest hockey movie.
Right. And again, I stand by that. My generation would say Slapshot every single time.
Goon. Goon is the greatest of all time. We'll get to the voicemails in a bit.
All right.
This is going to be the best of episodes. So we're going to have a nice little montage of some of the highlights of the year, start to finish, January to December, which I'm excited to do.
Went through a lot this year, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We broke up for a while.
We did?
Yeah.
Never doing that ever again.
Yeah. I bought a billboard to say sorry.
I said I'm not coming back. The EK special.
I've been through a lot. You've had a handful of teams. You were over in Spain. You were, man. You went through the gamut as far as travel.
Another hip surgery too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Too. We did a lot of things. You haven't had any new kids, but you've been here for all.
No, that is chemically impossible at this point.
Yeah, I guess I'm next up for kids.
Yes, you are, and I look forward to that.
You got any predictions?
On if you have kids?
When? Let's put this in the time machine.
I say that you will be welcoming a bouncing baby by the end of 26.
Okay. So about a year and change.
Fair? By the end. So that means anywhere from now till then.
I'd love that if that was possible.
Yeah?
Well, yeah, I would.
Nice.
I honestly would. I think finance is going to play a big role in that, whether it happens sooner or later. But if Canada could take a page out of Hungary's book, because if you don't know, in Hungary, if you have 4 kids or more, you pay 0% income tax. If that was the case in Canada, I'd start yesterday.
Best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is right now.
But if they're taxing you 60% into poverty, and we have our emperor in charge that we love so much.
Well, here in Canada, we're hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, getting an election in the calendar year.
That would be the ultimate Christmas gift, the gift that keeps on giving. Just that dude bouncing. See you later. Go run somebody else's business.
Well, listen, I know we're not going to say his name out loud because that messes with the algorithm, but I do have theories on that based on a lot of the current political landscape that we're seeing across the world. Mm-hmm. If NATO gets involved in any of these, that means Canada is involved in war by proxy, which means that we can't go to the polls if we're involved in active war.
And I'm in the draft, but you're not. You're too old.
No, and I'm blind in one eye.
Oh, yeah. I'm disabled. I can't go, fellas.
Sorry.
This guy can. Oh,
And I'm
shit.
way beyond age, though. Way beyond age.
You got to replace me with somebody for the show.
I would have 100%, but I think back to that UFC fighter who said boots on the ground. I'm not going to go over anywhere to fight someone else's war, but I will stand and I will die with my boots in the ground where I am here. And I think it was Alabama, somewhere down in one of those.
No idea.
One of those states, yeah.
Here's an idea for you, and we haven't talked about this, but realistically speaking, the next guy is coming in about a week and change to the U.S. He's going to make a lot of changes to the economy. As far as Canada goes, and hockey specifically, he's talked about tariffs, 25% on everything in Canada. It doesn't seem like we have an answer for that yet. We're doing a lot of things to just cripple our economy. Probably 40% of Canada's economy is government workers. I can't help but think that the Canadian dollar is just going to continue to plummet. I mean, it was already at 69 cents. We're going to start getting down to the point where the dollar was at when the Jets and the Nordiques left in the mid-90s. Do you see a world where the Jets and the Senators, who are the least profitable teams of all the Canadian teams because of their short capacity, would they leave in the next couple of years?
No. I think escrow and the league has a really good profit-sharing model that we won't see that happen again. I think they're thinking more long-term than short-term. I honestly, not to keep it as less political as possible, I don't think the Canadian dollar can go any lower. I don't think the world market will allow it.
It's 69 right now. You think it won't go below that?
I don't think so. I certainly hope not. I can't remember it being any lower than, I think 67 was the lowest I've ever seen it in my lifetime. But
I think it was
you gotta
65
keep in
when
mind,
the Jets left.
a lot of things that the president-elect is doing, it's a lot of posturing. Keep in mind, this guy wrote a book about, it was literally called The Art of the Deal. I mean, the guy's really good at negotiating. He hasn't even sat down at the table yet, and he's already got people quivering in their boots. So the guy's good. I'll give him credit, but I think cooler heads will prevail, and this is all just posturing. Everything will be fine. It'll be good. I think we need to worry about what's happening on our side of the border rather than what's happening down there. And that's speaking as a Canadian.
I hope they get
And
it
we
fixed.
burnt down your White House in 1812. Don't forget that.
The War of 1812. The U.S. invaded. That's why Canada came to be, because the U.S. came when we need to establish a border, build a railway, and boom.
Yeah.
That was our physical border in the late 1800s, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this is our New Year episode.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Let's keep it more positive now that we got all the depressing doomsday stuff out of the way.
Yeah, no, I wish I could say I was more involved in the World Junior Hockey Championship right now, but I'm not. And we talked about it on the episode a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, it's just more of an afterthought more now than anything.
Why do you think that is?
I think it started with the pandemic, and then it continued on with a lot of the, we'll call them hurdles that Hockey Canada had to deal with. But I'll go back to the year 2005, I believe it was, if memory serves correct, when it was in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And they said out loud, if Canadians didn't come over the border from Winnipeg and southern Manitoba, we would not have broken even. And I think Canada is the driving force behind that tournament. And the fact that it's not exactly on the top of people's minds, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, it's not exactly the conversation of like, oh, Boxing Day, here we go, can't wait for the opening game. I don't think it's as popular as it used to be, because I would say at least 50% of that audience has been Canadian in the past, and it started with the pandemic. I'm not saying it's all because of the scandals that Team Canada, Hockey Canada has had, but they've had a lot of things working against them.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember Christmas Day came around. Boxing Day is tomorrow, which means the World Juniors start. You go to the outdoor rink. You put on your favorite team's jersey, right. Obviously a Canadian jersey. The black jersey was the greatest Team Canada jersey of all time. I remember having that one and wearing it to the outdoor rinks. You're excited for the World Juniors. The next week can change. And now with, like you mentioned, the scandemic playing a big part and kind of killing the capacity. And then it seems like every single week there's a new scandal with Hockey Canada, with the current one with the five, with Hart, McLeod. I can't remember the other three guys' names, but
whatever.
Their careers are toast. But it seems like people just don't take it as seriously because they're kind of pissed off with what's been going on with the funds to cover the stuff up, and then all the
it comes down to association. People are just like, it's very triggering when it comes to the memory. It's like you mentioned Hockey Canada, and all those memories come up of recent past. So it's unfortunate, because it really is a great tournament, and I know it was a tradition, and it still is for a lot of people. And I hope you enjoy it just as much as you used to. I hope I can get back to a point where I enjoy it as much as I used to. I'm just I don't know. I'm just not as involved. Maybe it's the fact that I have kids, and I have different priorities, and they're not exactly hockey kids, and that's not by accident. It's just they have other interests that we decided to explore with them, and instead of saying you're playing hockey, you're Canadian, you're going to get out there and skate, we just decided to say, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of problems are you going to solve when you grow up? Let's work towards that.
When you solve a lot of problems financially by not having them in hockey.
Yeah, well, yeah, in this day and age, it's tough.
$400 a stick.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing too is, hockey doesn't have to be organized. Hockey doesn't have to be getting up every Saturday and Sunday morning and going to the tournament down in Bemidji or wherever it may be. It can be, hey, let's go to the local rink. That's the way Wayne learned. That's the way he started playing hockey, and I think we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that. We talked about it on last week's show, the Christmas episode. I think we've forgotten a lot about the origins of what this game is, and it's just getting out there and playing.
Yeah, I remember my dad taking me skating for the first time. I was 4 years old. Brought me to Glenwood Arena. You know Glenwood Arena?
Yeah.
Old Glenwood Arena. Still smells like propane the same way it did when I learned to skate when I was 4 years old. And he's taking me around. I'm kicking, crying, and screaming. I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. And then my dad gives me a chair, and I start pushing his chair around. I'm gliding out there. I'm flowing. I'm buzzing, right? And as I'm crying, I'm like, I don't like this. My dad's like, well, you're skating, so you might as well keep going. And the rest was history. Mm-hmm. You remember when you first skated?
No.
Any stories like that with your dad?
No, keep in mind, I didn't get on skates and play organized hockey until I was 11. somewhere in around there. And no, I only skated with my dad once or twice that I can remember, and that was with his shift league guys. He was a oil worker, and I was already playing competitive hockey by then. And yeah, he wasn't a hockey player growing up. He loved his Habs. Did I ever tell you the story, by the way? God, this is funny. Speaking of Christmas gifts, this is a good one.
Gift that keeps on giving?
So my old man was born and raised in Eastern Ontario, right on the Quebec-U.S. Ontario border. And he was a Habs fan, diehard Habs fan. And growing up in Northern Alberta, I was an Oilers fan. Everyone loved Wayne Gretzky. Everyone loved Yari Curry. Everyone loved Grant Fuhr. Everyone loved, that team because, geographically, that was our team. That's what we got coverage of. Until Wayne Gretzky, according to my father, wasn't traded, was sold to the LA Kings. Peter Pocklington was the owner of the team. My father, even though he was a Habs fan, understood the finance of what that did to the province, getting rid of Gretzky. And sure, they want to keep after. I know you're going to say that in the comments. I get it. He said, okay, not only is there no more Oilers in this house, we're not watching another game. There's no more paraphernalia. There is no more cheering for them. Peter Pocklington also owns Palm Dairies, which was the big dairy company in Alberta. We had to switch to Lucerne. That sucked. Lucerne was a lesser product, but I had to pick another team. And my favorite player at the time was Steve Yzerman. I love that guy, so I became a Detroit Red Wing fan. Fast forward a bunch of years, I'm probably about 15, 16, and there was a fundraiser that happened, and my old man, my pops, won the raffle and won a game-worn, autographed Steve Yzerman jersey. And I thought, oh, baby, I know what I'm getting for Christmas. That jersey, to this day, still hangs in the back of his closet. Even though, keep in mind, Original Six, he's a Montreal Canadiens fan, despises the Detroit Red Wings, but just to keep it out of my hands, keeps it in the back of his closet. Me knowing it's there, him knowing it's there, and from what I understand, he has already bequeathed it to my brother to make sure that it never gets into my hands. Now that is diehard loyalty.
I was going to say, it sounds like a very spiteful father.
Yeah. Have you met him? Do you know him?
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Frame that puppy. I put it on eBay.
Oh my goodness, I would love to get my hands on that one day.
Was it a white or a Red Wings? Or Red Wings?
White. It was their home jersey back in the 90s at the time. That's when I never understood that, by the way. And I know we got a lot of great clips to come later on the show, but it makes more sense to me after learning this that the home team always wears the same color. That way your visiting team is just white. They're just the visiting team, period. Your team wears their home color. But for whatever reason, through the 90s, the home team wore white. I never understood that. It gave the opposing team a chance to wear their dominant color. And now that the home team is wearing their dominant color, that makes way more sense.
I think it started with the Jets, though, because the Jets had the whiteout, the original Winnipeg whiteout.
Right.
And the Jets wore white. So the Jets were in white. The fans were in white. We are the Winnipeg whiteout. We're white. We are together. And the home team or the away team wears dark. We're not part of you. So I think that makes sense. I also personally, I like the whites better. I like a nice crisp white jersey. Although I will say those Winnipeg Jets 90s white jerseys, oh my God, were those beautiful jerseys. The who owns the trademark? Because they can't do that logo in those colors anymore, right?
What do you mean? Like the old Jets ones?
Like the 90s, like Winnipeg Jets, the JET with the hockey stick. They're like in the original, like that bright blue and bright red.
No, they've worn those. They've worn those in heritage games and
They've made
whatnot.
them darker though. It's a darker red and darker blue. They don't have that crisp.
That's just for updating style. I think, and as a goaltender, you can appreciate this. If people on the other end of the ice are wearing dark colors, it's harder to track the puck. Is it not?
A little bit. It's more of a lighting issue, I find. Like, depending on what the lighting is, it makes it harder or easier to track pucks. But if everybody's wearing white and the opposing team was wearing black, I think that would make it a little bit easier to track because black jerseys, black puck, all I'm looking for is black. White is us, black is them. Way easier to track. Coming off the stick, use white tape. But if they're using black tape, if that makes sense.
I get you. You
know what would look great, though? A black Red Wings jersey. Just straight up black, Red Wing. That'd be beautiful.
I have vague memories of them doing that once upon a time. I think it was when they were really celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the league. I think there was a period of time where it was black and then they had the red stripes. Someone correct me on that, but I think they had the brown pants that went along with it. I could be wrong on that, but I remember Red Wings once upon a time wearing black jerseys. I'm going to have to Google that. You know what looks great in black is a pair of Sheath underwear.
Greatest underwear money has ever bought and ever will buy. And if your dad's withholding that Stevie Y signed jersey and you're sweating it out, Get into a pair of Sheath. It'll make it all better. This New Year's, if you've forgotten to get a pair of Sheath Underwear for your family for Christmas and they're disappointed, you can fix this right now. You go to the link in the video description at the sheathunderwear.com website, and linked in the video description, use that code BISKIT69 for 20% off the greatest underwear money's ever bought. And they have a dual pouch. It separates and segregates everything the way that it needs to be, so it's not sticking to the side of your leg. You're not peeling it off like a piece of ham. You don't want that. And their cooling bamboo mesh, man, is that ever comfortable. Get a pair of the greatest underwear money has ever bought. We'll make it easier for you with 20% off. Thanks to the team at Sheath for sponsoring the show, as they have since day one.
And they have a girls line too. I'm not saying it's the same, but I know that there is under boob sweat that happens. That bamboo mesh, it's helpful. My wife loves her sports bras. She really does.
I like a little under boob sweat. It's kind of sexy.
You're weird.
Yeah, that's my personal taste. Take your old underwear, take the Kirkland stuff, take the Costco, the Hanes, the Fruit of the Loom, throw it in the dumpster. That stuff doesn't last. Get a pair of Sheath.
Trust me. You can thank us later.
Speaking of dumpster fires, remember the team I was going to play for in Spain?
Logroño,
yeah.
Logroño.
They
Español. In Español.
Well, I went there. Thought it was going to be pro, very similar to the Fed, and it was anything but. Absolute dumpster fire. So,
what would you compare it to?
Oh, God. It honestly, it wouldn't even touch where I played in Sweden. It probably like junior D. It was bad. It was really, there was the three players that were really good. I think actually one of the Russians I mentioned leads the entire league in scoring, but it doesn't matter how many you're scoring. If you're giving up 17 goals a game, you're not going to win many games.
Well, you told me a stat a few weeks ago that they had given up, and correct me if I'm wrong, 60 goals in 3 games?
40 goals in 3 games.
Oof.
40 goals in a weekend.
Wow.
I think they got spanked 20-2. They got spanked 10-1, and then I think it was like 8 or 9-3.
Wasn't your boy Rob playing over there?
Yeah.
I know we're going to see some clips of him in the best of episode.
Yeah. We'll get to that one in a second. But Rob was going to stay. He was going to hash it out and just make it work, because his goal was to try to get butt ends into as many players' hands as possible, especially from the other teams. So he loved the road trips, go talk to the other guys, get them in some butt ends. But even he was like, dude, this is a little bit too much. I'm going to go back to just slinging butt ends over in the U.S. side. And he bounced. I bounced. Ugh.
At least you got an opportunity to go over and spend not just a weekend or a week. You got to spend a good chunk of time living in Spain.
Great life experience. Great culture, great food. I like experiencing new things. I'd much rather take experiencing things over consuming things any day of the week. And that experience is something that, even though it was short, it was, 3 weeks-ish, 3 weeks and change, I'll remember for the rest of my life, and it's just a great life experience. So thankful it happened.
I know you spent more time over in Scandinavia and Sweden, but in comparison, weather aside, do you have a preference?
Cost of living was way cheaper in Spain. And that's in 2024 compared to Sweden in 20 and 21. Sweden was really expensive to live. But I like the people of Sweden. A lot more chill, a lot more introverted, which is more my type of people, believe it or not. The Spanish people were not quite my full cup of tea. A little bit less more extroverted.
Which was easier as far as the language barrier?
Oh my God, Sweden was way easier.
Yeah.
No, I felt like nobody in that
town. Well,
they
learn English as a second language in school.
Yeah, and they're I think like a 70-75% efficient or fluent in Spanish or in English.
Okay.
But in Spain, it felt like nobody spoke English. It was Google Translate everything and just like charadesing my way through everything.
Right.
But hey, man, life experiences, and that's one of the great things that I'm appreciative for that I've gotten to do. I've gotten to travel the world and experience all these cool cultures, cool countries, and cool places to play, cool leagues.
You may not have a lot of things, but you got a lot of memories.
Yeah, and to the guy that called in the voicemail last week, you can probably write off me playing Kenya anytime soon. I don't think the Kenya Super League is going to be taking me on any of their rosters.
Speaking of which, you want to get our next sponsor in before we get to these new voicemails here?
Yes, let's do our cut of the week. So the cut of the week this week, as always, is presented by Brisket Jerky USA, the greatest jerky on the planet. Great road trip snacks, whether it's the brisket jerky, maple bacon jerky, road trip snacks, cashew brittle, that incredible white cheddar popcorn, the espresso white cheddar popcorn, or white chocolate popcorn. I polished off a bag last week. It was awesome.
Oh, their trail mix is unbelievable.
Trail mix is great. The yogurt chips, too.
Oh, my God.
They made in the heart of Pennsylvania, local. Shout out to our boy Melvin, who cranks those out in Pennsylvania. But for the cut of the week this week, we're going to be doing best World Junior moment. Do you have one that comes to mind?
Mine's selfish. It may not be your favorite one, but I referenced it earlier. But when the tournament was in Grand Forks, we went down, and my boy Nigel Dawes was in that tournament. Sidney Crosby, Shea Weber, Dion Phaneuf. I mean, that was just what a dream lineup. And to watch them go down and win, I've actually gotten to hold that medal in my hand because Dawsey and I have gotten to be friends since then, and Yeah, what a great experience. The Ralph Engelstad Arena where the Sioux play, it was awesome, man. It was just incredible. And having the majority, even though it was hosted in the U.S., it felt like a home game for Canada every single game they played. It was awesome.
The Manitobans took over. They came over south of the border.
Yeah, man. I mean, keep in mind, it's a 2-hour drive from Winnipeg to Grand Forks.
And tickets were cheaper back then.
Oh.
Beautiful arena.
Oh, that arena is to die for.
They ripped out all that marble.
Breaks my heart.
When they changed, because I believe the situation they had was it was the UND, the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux.
Yep.
During this whole woke brigade, the NCAA deemed Fighting Sioux is offensive. We're going to gas it. The Fighting Sioux were like, no, we like that. You can keep the team named after us. They said it's an honor and a privilege. No. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
You guys don't know how to be offended properly.
We will be offended for you, as most white people are nowadays. It's the universal truth. You're laughing because there's some truth behind it. So
I think Bill Burr said it best. Go check out what Bill said.
I don't know what he said, but okay.
Yeah.
But
it was his monologue on Saturday Night Live. If you're looking for it directly, go check it out.
Well, the NCAA said you're changing the name, and now you're going to rip out all the Sioux stuff. So they ripped out all the marble floors, all the incredible tributes to Sioux legends. Everything had to come out, and they just stripped that arena down. And what a shame, because when Ralph Engelstad died, he was like, I want the best arena money can buy, put every penny of my net worth into it. I don't got no family. I don't got no kids. Put this into the arena, make the best arena the world has ever seen, at least in North America. And they did that.
Yeah.
And then this woke movement just ripped it apart, and RIP to the Ralph Engelstad Arena. It's a skeleton of what it used to be, but
Crying shame.
Absolute shame.
Crying shame.
I'm going best moment. I'm going to go Chris Kreider. When the U.S. came back to beat Canada in 2010 in Saskatoon.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker. That's a heartbreaker.
They put Martin Jones in net. No, was it Jack Campbell? Yeah, Martin Jones lost for Team Canada. Jack Campbell was in net. The almost Stanley Cup champion with the Edmonton Oilers last season. Now Detroit Red Wing. I think he's on personal leave right now. But they came back. They won. And then the dumbest guy in all of hockey, Chris Kreider.
Oh.
Got about half a brain cell to rub together, and he gave the old USA hockey is do or die. Mama, don't you cry. We got that gold medal coming back from Saskatoon.
Ugh, heartbreaker. Yeah, that's a tough cut.
But sponsored as always by Brisket Jerky USA. If you want the best beef jerky, maple bacon jerky, or road trip snacks, go to the link in the video description. Click on that link. Use the code BISKIT, BIZKIT, for 10% off. Honest to God, some of the best beef jerky, natural, nutrition, flavor. It all kind of comes together, and it's the best beef jerky, best snacks money can buy.
You ready for some voicemail?
A former hockey player like Dave Wheeler and a current hockey player like Travis Ridgen is. Hockey goalie, my bad. I was curious on how big an impact fans actually have on the game. Because there have been times where, I'm mocking a player or something like that. My season tickets are right behind the away bench. And, the players start swearing at me and start, slamming their stick against the glass, telling me to shut up and, stuff like that. I was curious if that's a common thing, if fans actually do make an impact on the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it necessarily works always in the negative, and I'll give you a perfect example. A buddy of mine who played the majority of his career in the American League with the Toronto Marlies loved coming to Manitoba. Loved it. They would get fired up to come to Manitoba because we had a full barn. We had 8,800 people there in comparison to playing the Marlies were his friends and family only. So, yeah, the fans absolutely make a difference, but it's not always in the home team's favor because the visiting teams will get fired up because they go, oh, this is a great crowd. Oh, my God, they chirp us all the time. They have the blue man on the side or whatever it may be. Sometimes it's not always in the favor, but, yes, absolutely, the fans make a difference.
Well, just as somebody who plays in that exact environment, we notice everything that people say. If you're chirping me behind the glass, behind the bench, I notice it. If you have a sign, you're flipping me off, I notice it. But I try to avoid eye contact. I try to pretend like I'm not noticing.
Right.
And discourage you. I don't think it necessarily has a huge impact, the chirping and the insults. More so when things aren't going well, a couple goals are going in, there's an opportunity to put a dent in the armor into somebody who's potentially mentally fragile. And that's, as a fan, that's probably where you want to cash in. But look at the Winnipeg Jets, the Winnipeg Whiteout. Mm-hmm. They've struggled so much the past couple of years.
2 questions. One, some of my favorite videos of yours when you played Junior B. Why were a few of the episodes deleted? Second question, is there any chance we'll see more behind-the-scenes coverage, what practices are like, stuff inside the locker room, etc.?
Yep, you'll always see behind-the-scenes stuff anywhere I play. As far as the Junior B stuff goes, so when I was first making the Junior B videos, I'd put just general music on, not copyright-free. and they get flagged, they get copyrighted, the channel will get a copyright strike. So to remove the strike, just delete the video, let it go. So yeah, there's probably like 3 or 4 episodes that got deleted and that you'll never see again, unfortunately. But that's my own fault for using the generic music.
Okay.
Hope that answers the question.
What's your biggest tip to keeping fit when you can't play hockey anymore because you're too old or trying to find a place to play hockey for your... What's your best diet to stay healthy and fit for a person who doesn't play hockey anymore?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking.
Yeah, what do you do? Answer the question.
You know, it's interesting because Dave and I were talking about this today over lunch, but part about being a good man is doing the things that you need to do whether you want to or not. And so if you're not playing hockey anymore, you have to go to the gym. You have to eat well. You have to be disciplined and get stuff done. So if you're not playing hockey, substitute it out with going to the gym. Substitute it out with doing other sports, doing something to try to achieve not being overweight, not being out of shape, and kind of becoming a fat blob. So have the discipline and get it done whether you like to or not is my best recommendation. Nutrition-wise, maybe you can take that over with the high-protein keto diet.
Oh, well, look, it's not a one-size-fits-all anymore. It really isn't. You have to find what works for you between your mental health and your physical health. And they always say that a strong body reflects a strong mind and vice versa. For me, a high-protein diet and low carbs works extremely well. And I've been very happy with that. I'm in my mid-40s, and I feel like I'm in my early 30s. So that's worked well for me. Some people are different. You got to find what works for you. I would suggest talking to a dietitian. I would highly recommend looking into what your blood type is and eating based on your blood type.
I'll say, though, when you started telling me meat, eggs, and cheese, I started feeling 1,000 times better and getting more lean just because if you're only eating meats, eggs, and cheese, there's no carbs. Carbs turn into sugar. There's no sugar. There's no fat to be putting on because you're just burning protein. So,
all right, here we go. Another one.
Hey, Travis, this is Tony. I wanted you to talk about the chaos that's now ensuing the NHL with goalies like you who catch with their right hand. Why don't we care about it? I think that this is a topic worth discussing. Let's talk about the guys that are in there catching with the wrong hand, making millions of dollars.
Can I intervene?
Go.
Okay, I think we're not drawing enough of a connection in baseball where if you see them making pitching changes, we got a left-handed batter, let's bring in a left-handed pitcher or right-handed pitcher, whatever it may be, it's all strategy at this point. I think a right-handed catching goaltender messes with players because they're more the minority. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they're used to, on a very quick split decision, and actually I'll give credit to Kashmir, who did a video saying, how quick is your reaction time? And it was like 0.19 of a second sometimes when the puck comes off the stick. Is players, when they're looking up, they have an automatic, like, I need to go here, and then realizing at the last second, he catches the other way, I made the wrong decision. It's a newer thing, as far as becoming more of a percentage of goaltenders that are doing that. It's nothing on purpose. It's just whatever's comfortable for you. It's not like a goaltender going, I'm going to catch with my right hand. It's whatever comes natural as when you're a child. But similar to golf, where we're seeing more left-handers, the technology is available that you can do that. Back in the day, it would be like, no, you got to catch with your left hand. That's just the way it goes.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because when I was growing up, it was so difficult to find full right stuff. But, I'm a lot like my dad, and my dad's super stubborn, and so am I. So when I'm left-handed, I feel like, Dad, I want to catch in my right hand and block her and hold the stick with my left. That's what we're going to do. So my dad found a way to find used stuff that was in full right, but it generally wasn't available. And for a lot of guys that wanted to be full right, they just went regular-handed. But now because you can find almost anything you want at your Pro Hockey Life, any other sporting stores, now guys can be full right. So I think that's a reflection of the equipment manufacturers making more full right stuff because there was not much of that when I was growing up.
I remember a lot of goaltenders that I played with who had to go to catching left-handed even though they wanted to catch right, but because of the gear, when they would have to handle the puck, they would have to go either – it would be opposite because right now, if I remember correctly, your blocker hand top, glove hand bottom or opposite? Yep. Yeah, right?
You're thinking of the Curtis Joseph with the glove was on top and the blockers on the bottom.
Exactly. So guys had to go the opposite way and play it off their backhand more. Yeah, it's
but man, he whipped that puck.
Could he ever? And you get used to it, right? So, no, great question. And I don't think it's as poignant of a question as you think it is, but it's a very important one.
You know who was a full right goalie? Andrei Vasilevsky. He was full right, couldn't get anything in Russia, so he went normal-handed. So he'd be full right if they had access to gear.
Who knows if he would have been better or not?
Call the voicemail and let us know what you think.
Call the red line.
Trav, longtime fan. My curve's to the left, and I don't know what to do, man. I don't really talk to girls, but like I'm scared. Like, what are they gonna think? Because it's like really severe.
In my opinion.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Trav.
It's kind of like you shooting the puck and just a hard curve to the left. As far as your question, put a pillow under her hips. She'll appreciate it, and you'll have a much better time.
Listen, if you're curving and you're not straight, I think you should look into that.
Hey, Trav. I can't thank you enough for not only pushing other goalies to do better, but being a better man. That has really helped me, not only with goaltending, but with welding as my job. Thank you so much, and keep doing your good work.
That's a nice compliment.
Thanks, man.
I love hearing that. I honestly, I love hearing from the blue collar crowd because, yeah, those are the ones that keep the lights on for society. I truly, honestly believe that. So thank you for all of the blue collar workers out there.
That's what we do a show for. We don't do it for the big wigs and the execs in Toronto or Montreal. We do it for the blue collar people, the plumbers, the electricians, the dudes putting on hard hats.
We do it for everybody.
We do it for everybody, but we do it for the average Joe. So thank you, my friend, for the nice message.
Trav, I want to see you play FPHL or go back to Europe. You can't be playing this APHL. It's not real hockey. You got to go play competitive hockey.
It makes two of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you can't choose that, right?
Like I said, you can't negotiate genuine burning desire. Teams don't want you. That's just the way that is.
This is Bam Bam from Nanaimo, British Columbia. Boys,
Bam Bam.
I love
Shout out to the island.
the pod. Travis, we actually had a couple classes together at Vancouver Island University. I've got a question for you, Trav. You're playing the APHL right now. Say a couple contracts don't come your way at the start of next season. Would you go back to the APHL for the Summit City Distillers? Or would you consider like amateur leagues in Canada, like the Central Interior Hockey League?
No. I can't fake it. I can't pretend like I'm just going through the motions to get things done. I want to play pro hockey. I want to go back to playing pro hockey. I went to Summit City to try to get a Fed deal, try to get back into the pro ranks. If there's no pro deal anytime soon, then we got to figure something else out.
Okay.
That's not working.
Shout out to your old alma mater there, too.
Yeah, VIU, Nanaimo.
Yeah. I've spent a good amount of time out in Campbell River. I love that area. Man, is it ever nice.
Did I ever tell you about the Campbell River storm story? I know we're doing the voicemails, but there was...
That's it for the voicemails, so go for it.
Okay. This is an incredible story. So Campbell River had a dynasty in the VIJHL, Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League, about a decade ago. During that run, the head coach and GM ended up crushing the owner's wife, which is such a bad idea.
Why do you play for teams where this happens on a regular basis? I feel like I've heard this story numerous times.
It's
with
a lot
leagues
more
you've played
common
in.
than I think that you.
I believe it. Yeah.
But so he crushes the owner's wife, and he's like, "You're fired." Not so fast. Mrs. has a 50-50 split of the team. He's not fired. I like him. He's staying. So they can't fire him. They finish the season. He buys her out over the summer, fires his ass, and then sells the team before the start of the season.
Wow. Hell hath no fury.
Like a manager scorned?
Then have scorned X.
Oh.
However you want to draw that up. Wrap us up here, Travis Ridgen. Wish everyone a happy new year, and let's get on with our 2025, shall we? And look forward to more episodes, more of the Red Line. Call the Red Line. The link is down in the podcast description, and you can get your 2 cents in, ask questions, tell us what you really think. We're all about real.
Call the voicemail anytime. And without further ado, here are the best clips, best highlights from this show, the year 2024, and we will see you in 2025. Thanks for watching. Dave Wheeler is no longer a part of the show and a part of the podcast. As I've said many times, and this will probably be the last time I say it, he had the top morning show in the city of Winnipeg radio for almost 20 years. Dave added a level of professionalism that I had never been exposed to before. Dave showed me things that I'd never seen before, that I never even thought of before. We've been averaging 10,000, 15,000 listens an episode. Although he is not a part of the new deal with the podcast moving forward, this podcast is not where we are today. This deal is not happening without you, my friend. Thank you.
I definitely was like questioning things when I'm like, the wolf spiders are crawling around in my room, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if this is for me. But
Vesa Toskla, he was done playing his last game. He took his equipment out back and burnt all of his equipment. I'll put the video on the video version of the show. It's an outstanding video. I've never seen somebody do that. Do you remember when he was in LA, he started doing the push-ups?
he did it as like a backhand slap to his coach because his coach made the team do push-ups. That pregame skate, the only person that knew in the whole arena was the coach. Playing professional hockey in Toronto, I remember getting called up, and I remember to be that close to the NHL, I remember being like, wow, I can almost taste it. Hockey mecca of the world. You got to enjoy those days because they were fleeting, and then once it ended, it was over. But
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back?
He said to me this morning.
This is my home. They're gonna need to send in the National Guard of f***ing SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere.
When we travel on the road in Motor City, guys would bring a couple ladies back to the hotel room. Somebody within the team saying, can't be bringing girls back to the hotel anymore. What do you think they started doing? They started going into the parking lot, and if the trailer's rocking, don't come knocking.
You find the loophole, you exploit it, I suppose. Chad Kruger of Nickelback. And they went out in Vancouver, the Roxy, after one of the games. Just so happened that him and Kippersoft, they ended up back at Chad's place, played street hockey in his driveway until about 5 o'clock in the morning. Chad says, oh my God, you're going to miss your bus. We got to get you there. And so we got him helicoptered in. Jerome McGinley calls him up and says, Kipper, where are you? He goes, I'm landing at the hotel across the street. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right there. Landed on the roof of the hotel across the street, down the elevator, across the street, into the lobby, made the bus. Coach comes over and goes, Kipper, are you okay, man? And then just got it all down the front of his shirt. The Arizona Coyotes are going to be moving to Utah. The Coyotes have been bleeding money. Nobody wants to take them on as tenants. 4,500 seat capacity. Here's the messed up part. Quebec City, Kansas City, even Regina. And you know how I feel about Regina.
You don't like them.
I think there are more deserving cities. They want to move it to Utah. And then in 3 years, when they build that $1 billion arena, Phoenix will get an expansion team back.
You know who the real loser in all this is? The chicks at ASU.
We got the goaltending. We've got the defense. We've got the offense. Like, we literally have all the pieces of the puzzle. Pick it up to Foley at the deadline. We got Connor. We got Scheifele. I really do believe we have all the pieces to go on a really deep run. I don't want to jinx it.
Man, you jinxed it.
Nah, stop saying that. It could be that Colorado is just a really good hockey team. I mean, they won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago. The guys like Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar are actually really good.
I think the worst locker room I've ever been a part of. I'd be driving to and from practice with different guys every single day. If I was going with player A and B to practice, they'd be shit-talking our starting goalie. They'd be shit-talking other guys on the team. I'm observing. I'm not saying anything because it's none of my business. But then later when I go home, players C and D would be shit-talking guys M and N. And I'm thinking to myself, does everybody just shit-talk each other? The fact that you're shit-talking your starting goalie when the guy just put up 50 saves the other night. You have 3 goals and 50 shots. Oh, he should have had this one. Oh, you guys are terrible. That's why you had 50 shots. Don't shit-talk your goalie. What are you guys saying about me behind my back when I'm on a road?
Guys will turn on each other in the locker room a lot quicker when you're losing.
Forget about the beef Wellington, salmon tartare, cheeseburger sliders, tortilla soup. What a beauty.
Dustin Johnson was no different. I think he went with finger sandwiches and piggies and blankets. Scheffler's caddy made $360,000 for 4 days of work. If you win once, you're welcome back every single year.
One of the guys on the team, his mom would feed us after every single one of the games, and she was awesome. She made these like triple thick brownies. They ended up gassing him probably like around December, and then the team had no more meals.
Weird.
And we just gotten outshot 29-3 in the first period. Our coach comes in the locker room, throws his stuff down on the floor. We gotta go, and we want to stab them in the neck. We're gonna go up there in the second, and we're gonna stab them.
Sometimes inspirational speeches will stick out because they're either really good or they're really bad or they're really funny.
When Anton Hudobin was playing for the Minnesota Wild, obviously you never knew when you were getting called up. You never knew if you would come back again. So you would buy like the nicest TV you could get at Walmart and get like a 6-month warranty. And if you were still with the team on month 5, day 29, he'd bring the TV back, wait a couple hours, go back and get another one. So he could always return the TV. He never had to actually keep the TV. And so called up to Minnesota, and his roommate, he calls me, he's like, TV, sell everything, but not my Gucci bed sheets. I want the Gucci bed sheets, and you're going to ship them to me.
They must have been really good quality.
They must have been really nice, like silk. What a beauty, Anton Hudobin.
Brock Lesnar was touring the Jets locker room, was stepping on the logo, but nobody was going to say anything to Brock Lesnar. It's like, hey, excuse me. If you could just step off the logo, he's like, oh, geez, look at that. Sorry about that, guys. Hey, sorry. I didn't even know it, but that's a pretty big rule.
Lesnar is a unit.
He is a giant human being. Friend who played on the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think he played a dozen games there. And after home games, or regardless of where they were, he said that it wasn't that Sidney Crosby didn't go out. He just didn't go out with the rest of the guys because all the guys were going to places where they were going to get recognized, right? They were going there. Sid had a couple of guys, and they'd go to a tiny little sleepy joint where they know they're going to be left alone. He's kind of a regular, and he'd have his few pops or whatever, and have a sit down and have his wind down time after a game, but nobody's talking about it. Like, nobody has said a single word outside of like, Brock Lesnar's got blood clots, he's not going to be playing Game 7. And nobody said, how does a 27-year-old who's in perfect athletic shape, like literally just coming into the prime of his physical being, get blood clots?
Dave, you conspiracy theorist. You're going to get us canceled off the internet.
I was so disappointed. The young lady who was up in the stands who decided to show her support for the Oilers by flashing the high beams. They got her on the show. They all crawl up to the camera like, hey, so are your boobies real? Come on. All 3 of those guys, I'm sure, have seen enough high beams in their day to be able to tell the difference. If you're looking at a classic 1967 or if you're looking at a new 2024 Tesla, you can tell the difference in headlights if those are original, if they are stock, or if they've been modified. You should know, especially at your age, gentlemen.
Are you saying that those are not off the rack?
You saw the picture of McDavid, though, getting sunburned?
Yeah, holy moly. Whew.
And his fiance posting that up?
Yeah.
I'm amazed
she's got to do a better job taking care of him, making sure he's wearing sunscreen or staying in the shade.
She's too busy doing her Instagram photo ops, trying to be a fitness influencer.
Yeah, well...
Didn't he buy a billboard ad in Winnipeg to tell her that he loved her? Wasn't that the one, right?
Yes, and that he was sorry, yes. And he really wanted to keep that relationship alive, so he bought a billboard to apologize to his girl.
Can you hear that? That's Dave facepalming.
A lot of players want to play in the Metropolitan Division, is that they play road games, and they're back in their own bed that night. Like, there's less, like I would say almost half in comparison to... What, the Central? I mean, if you're going from Winnipeg all the way down to Dallas.
But is it kind of elitist for them to say, oh, I don't like the travel schedule? And they do a private charter, first class, private chef, get whatever you want. You want lobster, you want chicken, done. Oh, we don't like the travel schedule. Dude, we're slugging it out in the bus. Imagine being in the East Coast where you're doing 24 hours in a bus, no private chef, no charter, bus breaks down, guys got to change a flat tire on the side of the interstate. Did you see that kid? I think he was committed to the Michigan, top draft pick by Montreal. I guess his grades sucked. And they said, we can't accept this kid. He's dumb as shit. So they decommitted him, and now he's going to go play in the OHL.
Listen, they give you 200 points just for getting your name right. And he had to take the test 3 times. Some schools care, some schools don't. But they do have a floor.
What was the first thing you bought with your first NHL contract?
I had a good signing bonus when I signed, but I was like, all right, what's a smart, sensible car to get that if I show up at training camp, all the guys won't be like, look at this a-hole with the Range Rover or something like that. So, I bought a Toyota 4Runner that survived Winnipeg somehow. It didn't have a block heater in it. There were days where I was like, this thing's not going to start.
Tell me you still have it.
It hit the couple 100,000 mile point and finally kicked the bucket. But you walk into an NHL locker room and there's certain expectations like, oh, what are you wearing? Like, why are you wearing that? Or, oh, do you have this yet? And you're like, I don't know. My financial guy told me that when I got my Amex, I was like, what the hell's an Amex? He's like, American Express. I was like, oh, okay, that's what that is. So probably bought a few suits just to up my game a little bit from Joseph A. Bank. No disrespect. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late with Lou. The bus will leave. I walked up when I was with the Islanders, and it was a 3:30 bus. And at 3:23, I walked out of the hotel, and the bus was pulling down the street. And I'm like, oh, boy. I actually caught up to it, and he let me on. I was like, of course, the first person I see on the bus is him. And I was like, oh, shit. And he looks at me, and he's like, I'm sorry. We left too. I was like, oh, okay. He apologized for leaving too early. I was like, whew, that could have gone the other way.
I'm only the lead singer!
Yeah. Exactly. At this point, I was not. He's doing it to see who's going to fall in line. He's going to see. He does these things: the short hair, the no facial hair, the time. You could turn a corner in the dressing room, there he is. Mattingly, I thought I told you to shave those sideburns. My agent was kind of like, well, we can always tell him we're going to go to Russia if you don't get what you want. And I was like, oh yeah, just bluff and see what they do. And he was just like, oh, I don't bluff. I was like, well, I'm not going to Russia, so don't tell them that. He's like, okay, fair enough. But they were trying to play hardball. They were saying you're worth this, and I was saying I don't know, man. Look at my numbers, how bad. Look at this guy. Use comparables, and fortunately, I was mostly avoiding of that back and forth. But it definitely does get you go to arbitration. You things are said, and
your first ECHL shift is the greatest first shift in minor pro hockey history. 5 seconds in, runs this guy right through the glass, plasters him into the ice, into the concrete pavement underneath the ice, and then KOs the captain.
As soon as you find out I'm in the starting lineup, I'm going to get that puck deep. We win the face-off and the puck goes deep. I get on my horse, flushes out behind the net, and I just, clean check. Great reload to be the high guy. Oh yeah, it couldn't have drawn it up better.
You know what the 3 biggest lies in pro hockey are? You're only going down for 2 weeks. Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
And you're the only girl that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
The 3 worst things in pro hockey are a hot shower after morning skate. Nothing worse than a hot shower. The guy who uses the last Keurig pod. Because there's always that one bastard. Morning skate, he used the last Keurig pod. He takes a look around. It's okay. Wheels will take care of it later. Takes the last coffee. No one's looking.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing in pro hockey, Mondays. That's when we always make cuts.
Oh, interesting.
Sometimes Tuesdays. If we had a long road trip and they give us Monday off, maybe Tuesday will be the worst week.
We hit an owl one time that took out our entire front window where the driver looks out of him, and so we had to have a spotter look out the other window.
Wait, hold on. So the driver can't see, so he's driving, but somebody else is telling him what they do see?
Yeah.
It's almost like out of Toy Story 2 and Rex and Slinky are driving the car.
100%. Yeah. Turn left, turn right.
No, your other left.
No, it was the entire window on the driver's side was just spider web. The entire thing, and there was feathers sticking out of it. We hit a big owl.
Hot laps are one of the greatest things in all hockey. Morning skate at 11. Guys hopping the ice at 10:50. We shoot the pucks around. 11 o'clock, everybody goes around the circle, cap in the middle. If you were busy last night, you give us a hot lap. Now, your girlfriend doesn't count. Has to be a new player. And so we wait, look around, anybody gets up, and here's the best part. Somebody gets up. Oh, yeah, Wheelsy's getting up. Does he take his helmet off or no? Because if he took the helmet off, he didn't use protection. If he keeps the helmet on, he used protection. Now, so usually the guy will give you 2 or 3 slow strides. Helmet's off. And then we get really, 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 really loud. But if he keeps the helmet on, we still get loud, but not as loud. And then we give him a nice little tap, nice little salute as he gives us a lap. Andrew Hammond, greatest goaltender in Senators history, the Hamburglar, comes in, goes 20-0-2, a .940 save percentage to take them from basement dwellers to one of the second last spot in the playoffs.
Chucking hamburgers at him after games.
They were throwing cheeseburgers at that guy after games. And I remember that iconic shot. Picks it up, gives the old Statue of Liberty. And they gave him a free lifetime of McDonald's anytime he wanted. But he never ate McDonald's. He does not eat McDonald's, which is funny. Chris Dreger, actually, Seattle Kraken goalie, Winnipeg legend. He was in Ottawa at the time in the organization. This guy was bent out of shape because he's eating McDonald's every single day. He's crushing those double Big Mac combos, that quarter pounder with cheese. He's going for the McFlurry and the Cinnamon.
Did I hear recently that Craig Berube banned music from the locker room?
I mean, listen, things got to change because whatever's been going on in Toronto hasn't been working for the last little while. But when I I watched because I can't read. But when I watched that he banned music in the locker room before a game, it's like, whoa, that's a guy that means business. Like, what do you think of that there, Wilson?
The only thing I can think of the rationale behind that is that if there was no agreement on what the music was going to be and there was guys complaining about, like playing country, turn off that Kane Brown, or if you're, I don't like listening to old classic rock. If you can't agree on it, then fine, you get nothing. At that point, if they're going to be arguing like siblings, it's like, all right, I'll take your music away. I'll take my ball and go home until you guys can figure out and get on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page in the locker room, you're not going to be on the same page when we get out on the ice. So guess what? We can all agree with no music. And I don't think it's a terrible move. I don't think it'll last forever. I think the guys are kind of go, okay, listen, we really like having music. We all agree that we're going to take turns and we're not going to complain about it. I guarantee you that's what he's waiting for. He's waiting for a collective effort where the guys come together and they figure it out amongst themselves and go, all right, we'd like to have music back. We're not going to complain about it as much anymore. That's what my guess is.
Did I ever tell you about the Braden Holtby story, getting denied entry into the U.S.?
I'm familiar with it. Please recount my memory.
Braden Holtby, he's trying to go from Canada, where he's from Lloydminster. Is it Lloydminster?
Yeah, he's from Lloyd, yeah.
He's trying to get into the U.S. and they denied him entry. He was trying to bring us tortoise. He's a little bit of a different guy. I remember when he came in.
He's a goalie, of course he is.
Well, when he broke, okay, well, that's different, though. Like, there's goalies, there's goalie weird, and then you have the Braden Holtbys of the world. And I love Holtby. I've noticed a lot of hockey wives trying to build a brand off their husband's hockey career. Like a lot of the Jets, like Kyle Connor, Appleton, a bunch of the guys, their chicks have made a TikTok brand off of, hey, come to me or come watch me go to my husband's hockey game. Here's me getting dressed up. Here's me and the other hockey wives getting our new denim jackets for the playoffs and going to dinner. What do teams think about that? Well, you can't tell him to tell his missus to stop posting videos at the game because she doesn't work for the team, but she's affiliated with him and she's a package deal. It's like the crazy hockey dad. Yeah, your kid can play, but the dad's retarded and he's always complaining and fighting parents in the parking lot. Get the guy out of here. You don't want to be the hockey dad cut. I wonder if that's going to start becoming an issue as well, as don't be the hockey wife that gets your husband cut.
I don't think they've ran into any problems with that yet because you're not seeing the behind the scenes as far as what the players are going through, as far as the wives go. Look at it this way. I think Bill Burr does a great idea about how, a lot of professional women's leagues aren't doing as well as they were hoped. And Bill Burr says, don't blame us. Like this is on you.
Build a better product.
Like you're busy watching the Kardashians and asking for all of that when instead you should be going to your local WNBA game. So don't blame us on the failure of your league. And I think he brings up a very, very good point. So if you can kind of meld those two together, right? So now you've got women liking what women want, which is fashion, which is style, which is going out and all these things, and it happens to be associated with hockey. Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing for marketing overall. Maybe that'll get a few more women going, ooh, I wouldn't mind having that experience going to a game. So now you're getting more females into the rink that way, right? Mm-hmm. So for them, they're probably very cautious and kind of looking at it going, let's see how this pans out and we'll deal with it as we cross that bridge. So I think they're being very poignant about it.
The Jets 1.0 were in town. They used to call Nikolai Habibulin Nikolai has been boozing because the guy never played a single game sober, apparently.
That's a good nickname.
Well, we heard that story when him and Keelback would go and smoke darts in between intermissions in Phoenix, so that's pretty on brand, no?
Listen, even Dion Phaneuf was doing that when he was playing in Calgary. There's pictures of him floating around, not necessarily during games, but out at parties and whatnot. So, yeah, league has changed significantly since then. Putting the C on Lowry, a third liner, that guy leads that locker room. There's no shadow of a doubt that guy, when he stands up in the middle of the room, everyone goes, all right, Cap, what do you have to say?
That guy's leading the fellows into Earl's downtown Maine on a Saturday night. That guy's good looking, tall. That's the only place he's leading them into. Hey, remember that Canadian Tire commercial with Jonathan Toews when he's like, "Hey, I'm here at Captain Jonathan Toews. Hey, what's that C stand for? Crazy good." On the road, gives up 4 goals on 12 shots. Tough night, gets the yank. This one girl beside the glass is like banging on the glass. "You suck." Grabs a couple bananas, chucks them over the glass because obviously we have like bananas and fruit on the bench. Chucks them over as like, "Hey, stop yelling at me, otherwise you're gonna get hit with some fruit." She takes the banana, writes her phone number on the banana, slides it back through the glass, gives it to the goalie.
Sounds like somebody got peeled after that game. Guy with the Seattle Kraken that you're showing me that's got the better hands than a lot of left wingers I've seen in my day.
Oh, Joey Decor. That guy's built like a linebacker too. He's jacked. Great shape.
My goodness. I couldn't believe the hands on him.
Hey, that guy's good looking. He's got a good looking chick. He's got a great body, great shape. Starting goalie for the Kraken, $25 million richer now that he got that $5 million deal. I'd love to get joined the podcast.
If I called you a Mennonite, would you be offended?
Sports is modern day gladiators.
100% it is. 100%.
Right? So if it's the modern day form of gladiators and we're out here to win, to defeat, to conquer, to destroy your opposition, then why are you getting so mentally butthurt? Like, that's not what a gladiator does. So, like, toughen up. You're offended? Go win the game. Go score some more goals. "Oh, coach, guess what he said?" Go score some goals. Don't be so damn soft. Like, Jesus.
I understand there's a line. I just don't know where it is anymore.
How does a guy who's making $9 million a year go behind the net, not take a shoulder check 10 and 2? I lost the puck in my feet. Oh, maybe I should take a look to see if anybody's coming. We're talking stick on puck here. Reeves didn't come in and just throw the body. He went stick on puck and then went through. He got literally as many games for hitting Darnell as our fella in the OHL got for calling that dude a Mennonite.
I am so sick and tired of any time a guy gets caught in the trolley tracks, the perp has to fight. I got to give you credit. You called this one.
He has started 11 games this season, and of the 11, he has had a 900 save percentage or better in 3 of the 11. He's hovering around an 880 save percentage right now. Those are stats that would even rival my worst Fed numbers, which is scary. It's a horribly defensive structured team, and the goalie can be great, but it is so defensive dependent. Ass out, jugs out and all, ripped off her clothes, and then made a mad dash for the end zone, which, honest to God, she probably put more effort into getting to the end zone after 6 Truly vodka sodas than the Bombers did the entire game.
Believe me when I tell you, trying to do a radio show Monday morning after the Grey Cup was not easy. And unfortunately, the NHL is trying to get rid of them more and more. I mean, they're trying to get that out of the game. They want to make it a skilled game, not realizing that. And I hate the fact that when I go back and I watch highlights on YouTube for a game that I didn't watch the whole game of, that they pull out the fights and then I got to go to another site to go catch the fights. I mean, when I'm watching the highlights over the course of 50 minutes, I go, whoa, there was a significant shift in this game here as far as momentum. What happened? There must have been a fight. And sure enough, there was. I mean, the fact that they're not showing that, they're not telling the whole story. It's a big part of the game. Big hits are part of the game. They're not even putting those in anymore. They just want to show the skill. That is skill as well. That is a skill in the game. But I remember it vividly. I remember filming it. We filmed it at Tech Voc High School here in Winnipeg. We filmed my scenes there, and I did the premiere with Michael Dowse and all the investors and stuff. Yeah, it was really cool. I didn't do good enough that I got invited back to do the sequel. I was replaced by James Duthie, but that's okay. I forgive you.
Duthie sucks. Who said that? Great movie. A lot of stuff filmed in Winnipeg. They had MTS Center.
I know they used Garbage Hill as well. They used Shannon's Irish Pub, which is one of my favorite pubs right downtown on Carlton.
These are the updated 2024-25 lists of where all the NHL teams stay hotel-wise in Canada. If you're a single lady in Canada looking to find your future hockey husband, or you're a kid looking to get an autograph from your favorite NHL player, starting in Vancouver, the rich teams stay at the Fairmont Pan Pacific. The poor teams now stay at the JW Marriott Park. In Edmonton, everybody stays at the JW Marriott in downtown Edmonton except the Dallas Stars, because the Stars owner owns Sutton Hotels. So they stay at the Sutton. Stars do. In Calgary, it's only the Sheraton Calgary in downtown Calgary. Winnipeg, they changed. Nobody stays at the Fairmont Winnipeg anymore. They had enough of that poor Wi-Fi. They now are at the Delta Hotel in downtown Winnipeg, including the Boston Bruins. And then over to Toronto, they all stay at the Ritz-Carlton, or apparently a couple teams like the Royal York. In Montreal, they all stay at the Ritz or the Four Seasons. And then in Ottawa, I nailed that one at the Marriott Downtown City Center and the Brook Street Hotel.
This one equipment manager, for whatever reason, he was taking this one lady out to the parking lot, the arena parking lot, and I guess some of the fans ended up seeing it and calling into the team like, hey, the EQ is apparently it's one of the season ticket holder's wife. The GM and the president get word of this. Dude, you're fired. And so they didn't have a single guy to sharpen skates the rest of the season.
Well, listen, when you sign up for season tickets, you expect special treatment, right? Either Sidney Crosby drops off your tickets at your door, or you get a crack with the equipment manager.
And he crushes your wife in the parking lot.
Ooh.